Well, ladies and gentlemen, the map is Kadaria, and down here in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg player from Team SCV Life, the one and only Hyun. And his opponent here in the top right-hand corner is our red Zerg player from FXO Open Esports, the one and only Leenock. So a great ZVZ here. And I'd love to see these guys actually match up at some point in Fight Club. Be kind of a cool thing.
It really would. Seeing a best of 9 between these two would be unbelievable. Leenock has always been one of my favorite players. Like, seriously, like always. Was rooting of course. And yeah, I mean, well, actually there's no Overlord, so we need to point that out right away.
Yeah.
Because there's a pool. There's a 9 pool on the way.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing. So it's another 9 pool. Hyun has faced 2 Zerg players so far. He's 9 pooled them both times. We'll see if Leenock is going to go for the same thing that his teammate did and put up that early hatchery, or if he's going to decide to put up a pool here in a second and stay a little bit safer. Hopefully it's the pool for his sake. Yeah,
Leenock is a player who often does like to play safe. He's so confident with his abilities throughout the course of the game. He doesn't necessarily need to play with that greed. I mean, I'm recalling a game on dual site. It was against MMA, I think. Leenock, lost his hatchery, was insanely behind, and then goes on to win. And it looks like actually this game he's going to actually be opening with an extractor, and then probably going to into pool.
Yeah, 14 gas, 14 pool.
Standard.
Making sure that he gets his Zergling speed up nice and early, and that's also going to give him a very nice spot to defend against this 9 pool from Hyun, because Hyun sinks a lot of resources into trying to make sure he does damage. And so when you have an opponent who goes hatch first, oh no, I went hatch first, now it's canceled, your hatch is up faster than mine, and I'm going to lose a drone or 2. That's not going to be the case. Leenock's going to be like, aha, all right, well, not only do I have earlier speed than you, but I also have an ability to save my hatchery and make sure that it gets established quicker than yours does.
Well, this is going to be pretty interesting because these Zerglings are actually, they're kind of like a really failed version of Indiana Jones. They're going on an excellent excursion, and they are not going to find what they're looking for because it looks like, oh no, okay, never mind. He actually switches it. I don't know. He hasn't seen anything yet. No. So it's actually like really impressive. That he is instead running into this corner position, but it's going to work out fantastically in his favor. Of course, guys, if he were running to this position and then he had to run to cross, he would find, okay, actually I took too long. But if your opponent's closer, that's actually really, really tough to get into. So let's just talk about the fact that these Zerglings are already here, that Leenock doesn't have many Zerglings on the field yet, only 2, but he's got 6 more on the way right now.
Yes, and, much to the chagrin of Hyun, he can already see that the spawning pool is researching something, and the only thing it's going to research at this stage of the game without Hive is that Zergling speed. So I'm sure that Hyun's not too happy to see this. Yes, he is going to have his hatchery down a lot faster than his opponent, but he's going to be so far behind in Zergling speed that Leenock's going to have a big window where he can jump in and do a considerable amount of damage.
Yeah, and it looks like Hyun is going to opt to fall back at this stage. Leenock running down the ramp with just 1 Zergling wants to make sure, okay, you're actually gone. You don't have a Baneling Nest. You're not going to be morphing in ridiculous things right now to try to completely all-in me. So Leenock drops down the 15 hatch. He's feeling pretty comfortable at this state and has stopped mining gas, actually, at this stage. Just goes for speed and realizes, well, I don't really need anything too serious right now.
Yeah, except for a big round of speedlings, which he could use to pressure his opponent, which he has, in fact, made. And there you go. There's the advantage of that speed. He can duck in here, do damage, and back out. Hyun actually going to engage this straight up, but the continued reinforcements from Leenock are going to be too much, and now he can start running across the map. So
yeah, that was really good for Leenock.
Right, because right now Hyun, going for that earlier pool, sacrificing some economy at the beginning, wants to do nothing but make drones. But the problem is, even though Leenock may not sneak in here and kill that many drones, he actually does manage to get one, but every single, for every 2 Zerglings that you saw just produced, that's another drone that Leenock essentially killed.
Leenock going to get all the way into the main. This is so bad for Hyun. Luckily, at least, most of the Zerglings have been killed off. This will at least force some response out of Leenock, as he does need to fear the possibility of a counterattack. But here's the thing, so Leenock, well, he's also got a Baneling Nest about to wrap up, so you don't want to leave 2. He's going to get another drone. This is absolutely out of control right now, guys. Leenock doing incredible amounts of damage after forcing so many units out of Hyun. Hyun going to be running those units across the map. These Zerglings are going to be able to be made into Banelings in just a moment here, as we're going to see them. Well, no, he's actually going to try to pick off more drones just running in, getting in free damage, and now he's just going to almost get another drone.
Down to 1 hit point, but there are 2 Banelings that are morphing in. Are they actually down here at the bottom, or is this just an Overlord? Just an Overlord, so they're actually defensive and back at home.
Yeah, Leenock at this point. Let's take a look, actually. The 23 to 23, 170 gas advantage currently for Leenock. He is also, well, making a ton of Zerglings right now. But yeah, really big thing to point out there is that the fact that Leenock has 200 gas is huge. That is basically almost a free 1-1 upgrade because you're going to have to, of course, factor in it needs like 30 more gas and then the minerals behind that. But that's a severe discrepancy between these two.
Honestly, it looks like he just wants a Baneling all in right now. He's making a couple more Banelings at the moment, but he can actually has enough gas he can morph in another 8 if he wanted to right now, which he's
probably going to.
All right, there are actually 2 Spine Crawlers up because Hyun knows he's in kind of a bad defensive position. And there we go. 9 more Banelings morphing in at the moment. This is going to be an extreme amount of frontline power.
Right under the vision of this Overlord, too. He absolutely does not even care. Hyun with no Baneling Nest. There's no way to deal with these. He's got no Baneling Nest, no speed. It's just going to come down to Spine Crawlers, and I've tried to hold this build before. It's basically, Leenock can just pour units from here if he wants to, but he's actually droning behind this. Just going to try to do a ton of damage, and we're about to see if it's going to pay off. If he can Baneling bust the Queen line and run these Zerglings in, it is going to be over. No, he's going to go for the Spine Crawlers instead, and blows up on the Queens. Transfuse goes down, but not enough energy for the Transfuse on the second Queen. Leenock gets into the main.
Yeah, he does get into the main, but still not a bad attempt there from Hyun. He does keep one of his Queens alive, and he did actually just make a second one, but I think it was actually morphed in down at the natural, so he's got to run it all the way up to the front. Leenock, as you can see, is actually making a couple of Banelings inside of his opponent's base, and all he needs to do is sit back and hold for a little while and make sure that those Banelings can get an absolutely perfect engagement.
Take a look at the vision of Hyun. Let's see how these Banelings sneak in and do some damage. Oh!
Bye-bye.
What? That was so many drones killed. I tried to do a quick eyeball there. Looked at maybe 11 or so. That was insane out of Leenock there.
Take a look at those workers killed right now. We can see the full extent of the economic damage. 15 have gone down in this game. But please bring up the units tab in addition. And we can see it's still a worker advantage for Leenock. Not that large, but he's still got the ability to continue to put on pressure. He's a little bit ahead in layer, and things should be going quite well for him.
Oh, yeah. Leenock looking so good at this moment. Behind this, you mentioned the lair. He's also throwing down some defensive Spine Crawlers. Hyun going to be opting for some upgrades as well as his own lair. And I'm just loving, these are the sneakiest Zerglings, man, hiding in that bush. But nope, they're just going to pop out. A couple more Banelings coming in right now for Leenock.
All right, so there are so many Spine Crawlers up right now that Hyun just really wants to hold on to whatever sort of defense he can. Leenock very close to getting in there with some damage. And I'm not sure. Let's see here as... you know, he could still potentially get something done, but I think, I mean, he's forcing Zerglings out of his opponent. I think that's the primary goal right now, rather than just trying to do explicit damage. If he gets that perfect Baneling explosion, great, but really he just wants to delay his opponent while he pushes ahead with his own tech.
And trying to come in and pop. Gets one.
Yeah, all right.
One drone.
Yeah, got a worker. That was about it.
Made something happen.
Killed some larvae, too.
Took a third behind it. Looking pretty good.
Aspire.
And Aspire, which is there. Learned this fact the other day.
Yes.
So you can actually just scroll if you just hover over a spire, like you actually take a look at this. Mm-hmm. So the distance between the spire and the ground right now,
yeah,
it actually looks a lot smaller than I would think. But versus a Spine Crawler that I can't show you right now, but the health bar is actually not as far above.
Yeah, that's absolutely one of the ways, because some players, specifically what you're referring to too, is that some players will try to be a little bit devious and hide their spire inside of their mineral line to make it look like, oh, I'm just putting up a Spine Crawler or a Spore Crawler. There's nothing dastardly going on here. You don't need to click on this. And sometimes it can be effective.
Yeah, it absolutely can. Leenock coming forward with a couple of speedlings right now. Remember, Hyun still has no speed. He's completely foregone that. And one of the downsides to that is the complete and utter lack of information that he's going to have. He did manage to get a glimpse of this third, at least, with this Overseer here. But, yeah, Leenock with a lot of lings right now. Now, he actually knows about this third, but is opting not to attack it.
Talking about clever ways to hide a spire, the coolest one I saw was actually they made 4 Spine Crawlers directly next to each other, and the third one was a spire. So it was like just in the middle of a bunch of them that were being made. So he does actually get the cancel on the third base while establishing his own at the same time. Leenock does have a really nice advantage here. Even with the defensive position that Hyun's established for himself, a little more economic damage could be done. No more workers really falling there. A few got very, very low, but the Zerglings aren't able to close and do that much damage to him yet.
Well, Hyun still with a supply deficit of 18. You know, we were looking at the worker counts for both players. It's 50 to 67 now for Leenock. Leenock with a large advantage in that regard. But here the Mutalisk finally hitting the field. 6 of them. You know, we've been talking about that Spire being on the field. And, well, Leenock's now going to be moving out with them. We'll see what he can do. Definitely going to be able to kill off a couple of Overlords, as there are some sticking out, and an Overseer as well. But he's going to have to worry for the moment about this Roach Ling attack that is just so incredibly not worthy of concern at all. So the Mutalisk are probably just, well, he is killing off some Roaches, but yeah, gets the Overseer, and I would expect him to move, proceed forward with these.
The first 4 Infestors are popping up, so Hyun will have some defense back at home. He's also got those Spore Crawlers, but if you look at the Spore Crawlers and Spine Crawlers he's already had to make this game, that's so much economy that's been wasted by Leenock just by being able to put on a bit additional pressure. So nice work there, and unfortunately those units were running underneath the Overlord at the exact time it was being attacked, so they took some free damage in the form of Glaive Worm bounces, but not anything terrible for Hyun, just, you know, those little kind of things that can make a big difference.
All right, well, Leenock's starting to lose a little bit of free health here on these Mutalisks. Looks like he's going to opt to have them flee for the moment. Roaches and Lings down here on this side of the map as well. Leenock with quite a map presence at this stage. He's also got a really nice Spine Crawler defense going on at home. Macro Hatch going to be going down, and a ton of things on his production tab, not limited to +1 Burrow, Pathogen Glands, and Roach Speed. So definitely expect some of a transition to Roach Infestor in the near future here from our FXO Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, he's coaxed a little bit additional Spore Crawlers and Anti-Air out of Hyun, but I mean, the Mutas haven't done too much quite yet. They've established him, I mean, they would have established him map control, except for the fact that he doesn't have Overlords anywhere across the map, so he's not really able to pick up on anything for now. He still does have control of the center, though. Hyun's doing a nice job making sure he's been able to stay in this game, but there we go, the next inject just hit, and Leenock starts making 6 Infestors and 6 Roaches all at once.
He's really going to be ramping up this ground force, as you know, the Mutas really did provide one benefit, and that is the complete and utter lack of information that Hyun is still sitting on. He's really been pretty blind throughout this game. I'm really impressed that he's managed to get in here to the third so many times. We've seen Overseers poking in. He saw when it was being built. He popped in and saw the Spine Crawlers. But ultimately, I mean, compared to the information that these Mutalisks are going to be offering, popping in once here again towards this main base, Leenock's going to be very reverse. He's going to pop in here, see, okay, there's not a quick hive or anything coming my way. I'm even going to get, look at this, a couple of drones as well, swinging out of the back, down towards the natural expansion. He's going to see the infestation pit, even a couple of infestors.
Yep, and pulls those units out of position, allows them to stage everything up in the middle here, really unopposed. So Hyun is, like we said before, he's stabilizing. He's got a lot of resources at the moment built up, and that is one thing you can say about Hyun's play. Great decision maker. He's got a lot of really cool things. His tunneling clause is just about to finish up for Leenock, but sometimes he does let his macro slip from time to time. Leenock now going to start pushing his way in, gets good fungal on all the units around the side, and it actually gives him the ability to take those out pretty cost efficiently. Not able to swing in with the rest of his units quite yet, though. Looks like he's just going to rely on the reinforcements later, although a lot of infested Terrans were just put out. Wow, that's a pretty good amount.
Yeah, so many of these. As players have been getting better and better at splitting up their units for concaves, we've been seeing that fungal growths are just not as effective as they might have been used in the past. Mutalisks are going to get fungled here and trapped, talking about the effectiveness of fungal growth, and that will spell the end of their lives. But we're about to likely see the real strength of Leenock that we did see displayed over the past week, as Leenock's going to be able to start splitting up his forces with the tunneling claws upgrade here. Can not only come in to these bases, but then can burrow around inside and move to different positions and really pop up in unexpected places. This is the strength that we see from Leenock in the late game.
All right, well, Leenock's maxed. He's got pretty good upgrades. He's got that +1 Carapace. I mean, he's not going to have the additional DPS from the Hydralisks, but honestly, he just has such a crushingly larger force that it's not really going to matter to him. He's already on 4 bases, could go up to 5 in Hive Tech at the same time. Can we take a look at the unit count, please? He does actually start Hydralisks. So he's up by 4 workers, but he's up by 16 Roaches, 2 Infestors for now. But if he waits much longer, he is going to walk into a maxed army from Hyun.
Oh, I love the Overseer standing right over that Creep Tumor. Leenock just sending 4 Roaches forward, never overdoing it with that count. We see he has a massive Congo line of Roaches right now. Maybe he'll catch these Infestors. Oh, no, they are actually just his fungal growth coming forward right now. Going to trap a lot of Leenock's Roaches in the front, doing very nice damage. But the reality is that Leenock's Roaches on the left have been engaging this entire time while the right ones are just trying to get into position. This battle is going to be a victory for Hyun.
Wow, yeah, I mean, Leenock just delayed, he delayed. Yes, he's going to be able to reproduce his army very quickly. There you go. You see he makes another 8 Infestors and 12 Roaches at the same time, but still playing that out not very cost efficiently and even going to lose a few additional Roaches here in the middle.
Yeah, Leenock definitely catching the short stick of this engagement, without a doubt. And I want to highlight once again that, you know, Leenock's Roaches were engaging for an extremely long time versus Hyun's here. And while these Roaches were trying to make it around a fight on the right-hand side, but simply put, they got fungled, they were stuck still for a while, then he finally got forward, they got fungled again. And Hyun, in the meantime, just has to hit 3/4 of his army, killing like a small portion of Leenock's. But now Hyun's going to be on the aggression.
Hyun's got to take another base and start doing some economic damage, though, soon. It looks like there is a red dot over at his 4th. I'm not sure what that is at the moment. We can just down to the right. There we go. Looks like it's just an Overseer as he tries to establish his next base now. He needs to get that up and running, and Leenock is already ready with a bunch of Zerglings to try and duck in there in the event that that actually gets put up. But unfortunately for him, Hyun's already prepared for that, and he's got units in position.
I love the Changelings drop for just a moment to delay that hatchery, which they did successfully do. We can see Lings already in position for Leenock to come and take out this base. And this is just a really good indicator to the forethought that we have behind this FXO Zerg. Hatchery is not going to be saved. There are not units in position in order to secure that. Hatchery gets taken out. In fact, no cancel. Now going to be forcing an engagement is Hyun. Catches the fungal growth on these Roaches. Leenock going to be hard pressed here to try to make something happen. He does not have the concave. Infested Terrans going down absolutely everywhere for Leenock. So many infested Terrans. Hyun's going to stay and engage against this, and this is just energy in action right now from Leenock. And he's going to be killing off a lot of these Hydras and Roaches, and overall a fairly equal battle between these two. But behind it, the Lings now running into this base down in the bottom right. Hyun taking some serious economic blows, Kevin.
Yeah, that was a huge disadvantage for Hyun there. Leenock, he traded energy for units in the form of those infested Terrans there, and that's exactly what you want to do at this stage of the game. And I said before that Hyun had to get a 4th base down, and he had to do economic damage. He actually failed on both of those fronts, and that swings the pendulum heavily back in Leenock's favor. As Leenock now back on a maxed army, he's got 14 more Roaches that are joining us. He's even got Ventral Sack, so he can start to drop into his opponent's base if he wants to. But he can sit back, he can play the starvation game. He can trade inefficiently now, because if Hyun can't come back and do economic damage, Leenock will just starve him out of this game.
Yeah, we're really seeing some of the Leenoktopus right now as the many tendrils of Leenock are just touching on all the different parts of Hyun. We could see that the Ventral Sacks are coming, and that's really going to give him even more versatility to hit from multiple angles. So Leenock at this point, you know, yeah, his units are balled up, but here come the Overlords. We're going to see some of these units likely dropped into the main, while one of his, you know, another tendril of his army strikes forward. This is an extremely dangerous position for Hyun, who's already got his back up against the ropes.
Okay, well, the Roaches are actually out in the middle of the map. It looks like they're going to flank around the right at the same time, but all the Hydralisks drop into the main. Oh, if those Overlords were in position, that would have been actually devastating. The fungal growth still hits, but all of the units are already out by then, and that's going to give Leenock the ability to start doing damage here at the same time that he swings down to the 3rd base of his opponent and pretty efficiently takes that out.
Yeah, these Roaches and Infested Terrans have no answer. I love the Infested Terran wall. Here at the bottom of the ramp, the units chasing all the way back into the main fungal growth. Gonna catch some units here. He decides, okay, fine, I'll drop them. I might as well make them do some damage before they die. But yeah, the 3rd base now is down for Hyun. Leenock just tearing Hyun limb from limb, and Hyun completely unable to answer this. We see even the Manor hatcheries about to go down for Leenock.
Yeah, again, not the most efficient engagements from Leenock here, but it doesn't matter. I mean, he's got such an overwhelming advantage now. The resources he has banked, is he dancing? Was he dancing those infested Terrans? I think he was a second ago, but they're getting fungled. Again, trading energy for energy here, and he can afford to do that all day long.
Yeah, no bases left for Hyun besides this natural expansion, which, I mean, it's a natural. At 26 minutes into the game, really doesn't have a lot left to offer. 50 minerals left on some of these patches. It's pretty much going to be an all-in push here from Hyun, which Leenock will hold with ease. He's currently sitting on 159 supply. And you know what? These hatcheries are even going to provide a very useful amount of buffering here, as Leenock's going to get some additional time. I mean, he doesn't even bother to cancel him. He just doesn't care. He's like, all right, dude, this is over.
What's the worker count right now for these two, out of curiosity?
62?
25 to 62.
25.
So armies are actually pretty equivalent in size, but Hyun needs to kill, well, honestly, 2 bases here if he wants to even have a hope of stabilizing.
Well, here's the thing, you know, Leenock's going to be popping out a lot. Well, actually, he's not making anything, which is just pretty surprising, but Infested Terrans are going down I'm looking at a sea of green beach balls right now. Roaches up on the high ground here, going to be doing what they can. Look at this. positioning right now for Leenock is he's just got all of his infestors. They're sitting back. They are very, very low on energy, but I just don't see Hyun going on the rampage he needs to do to win this game. While it's going on, Leenock is actually just killing off the entire main base with just like 3 units. It's just a disaster. And like Hyun right now, I mean, he's got a bigger, nope, not anymore. 13 Hydras on the way, 9 Roaches. And this is pretty much it, guys.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a weird game, kind of a little bit sloppy out of these guys, to be perfectly honest, but so far we can see that Hyun, despite the fact that he started to do a little economic damage, Leenock's taking the map. He's got a base down to the bottom right-hand corner. He's got a base at the top left-hand corner. Hyun's down to 1 base mining. He's long-distance mining actually at his 3rd, so Leenock still has the economic advantage. He's still 60 supply up on his opponent. He's still actually moving across the map now with a pretty crushing force.
The drone's transferring right in front of TSL Hyun. He's like, I don't even care, man. Leenock moving out right now with his infestors, his hydras, his roaches. Surprised he didn't lasso the space shark there and bring him along too. Hyun gonna kill this base. It's not gonna matter. 152 supply to 84 right now. Hyun is just long distance mining. That is it.
Yeah.
Leenock still got a fully operational base.
Well, Hyun, always a player who will stay until kind of the last minute, though, to make sure that he ekes out every advantage he possibly can. He does get a good position to engage here, but Leenock creates an army in front of him in the form of infested Terrans. They actually pop out first, so they get the initial engagement, and it looks like they, plus the Hydralisk behind, are going to be enough to force Hyun out of the game. 4-3 advantage still for TSL, but FXO has staved off elimination, and Leenock trying to win some games.
Yeah, definitely not a poorly played game out of Hyun at all. A lot of it just came down to that drop that kind of just picked him apart. He was like, okay, while you answer your drop with my entire army, or with your entire army, excuse me, I'm just going to kill your 3rd. You're only mining base.
Yeah.
Leenock's good, man.
Yes, he
Leenock is good.
So is Hyun, though. Hyun did his job. He won 2 games in a row, and still TSL is just 1 game away from advancing into the Premier Division again next season. But Leenock trying to put the stop on that. He is the last hope for FXO, and next he's going to have to go up against another Zerg player. It's going to be Symbol.
Symbol versus Leenock coming up in just a moment for you guys. We're going to cut to a very quick commercial break. But in the meantime, let us just mention that we got a pair of 6 sunglasses to give you.
Boom.
No, they're not sunglasses. They're freaking gunners, man. You guys should probably go to apply to get these. You can click the link at the top or type in IGN.com/IPL giveaways. You can score yourself a pair of these baddies.
That's right. So check them out. Support them on Facebook and Twitter as well when you're there. And give them a shout out for giving some love to the IPL and esports in general. We're going to run to a commercial break, though, guys. And when we come back, it'll be time for our 8th game of the set as TSL setting up Symbol next, going to go up against FXO Leenock.